deals. This is truly a miracle, not only in the history of China-US business relations, but also in the history of the whole world.
这充分说明，合作是中美关系发展的唯一正确的选择，互利共赢，符合中美两国的共同利益。
This fully indicates that cooperation for win-win results is the only correct option for growing our relations, and cooperation serves the common interests of both countries.
下面，请大家欢迎特朗普总统致辞。
Now, please welcome Mr. Donald Trump, President of the United States of America.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you, Minister Zhongshan, for that introduction, and especially thank you to President Xi and Madame Peng for serving as such warm and gracious hosts to Melania and me during our time here in your very, very beautiful country. To both the American delegation and to the Chinese business representatives here, your discussions greatly strengthen our partnership and provides a critical bridge between our business community and yours, and thank you for that. During my time in Beijing, President Xi and I have had several conversations about our common goals and interests. Beyond that, we talk often. There's a very good chemistry between the two of us, believe me. My administration is committed to improving our trade and business relationships with China. And this relationship is something which we are working very hard to make a fair and a reciprocal one. Trade between China and the United States has not been, over the last many, many years, a very fair one for us. As we all know, America has a huge annual trade deficit with China, a number beyond anything what anybody would understand. This number is shockingly hundreds of billions of dollars each year. Estimates are as high as $500 billion a year. We must immediately address the unfair trade practices that drive this deficit, along with barriers to market success. We really have to look at access, forced technology transfer, and the theft of intellectual property, which just by and of itself is costing the United States and its companies at least $300 billion a year. Both the United States and China will have a more prosperous future if we can achieve a level economic playing field. Right now, unfortunately, it is a very one-sided and unfair one. But I don't blame China. After all, who can blame a country for being able to take advantage of another country for the benefit of its citizens? I give China great credit. But in actuality, I do blame past administrations for allowing this out-of-control trade deficit to take place and to grow. We have to fix this because it just doesn't work for our great American companies, and it doesn't work for our great American workers. It is just not sustainable. I look forward to working toward that goal and to pursuing fair and lasting engagement. At home, my administration is supporting American workers and American businesses by eliminating burdensome regulations and lifting restrictions on American energy and all other businesses. Restrictions are being seriously lifted. Our work is already taking hold. The stock market in the United States is at an all-time high. adding already $5.5 trillion in new wealth since the very, very well-known and now very important November 8th election. Unemployment is at a 17-year low, and so many other great things are happening to the United States, economically and otherwise, frankly, too many to mention. Abroad, we're committed to a free and open Indo-Pacific-based respect for the rule of law, private enterprise, and trade reciprocity. In order to achieve prosperity, we must also have security. Security cooperation is critical to addressing a range of emerging threats throughout the Indo-Pacific region and around the world, and I have been very encouraged by my conversations both over the last number of weeks and in particular last night and this morning with President Xi. We're very, very much on the same plane when it comes to security. We both want it for our countries, and we both want it for the world. Chief among these threats is the North Korean nuclear menace. As I stated in my address to the National Assembly in Seoul yesterday, the United States is committed to the complete and permanent denuclearization of North Korea. So important. China can fix this problem easily and quickly, and I am calling on China and your great president to hopefully work on it very hard. I know one thing about your president. If he works on it hard, it will happen. There's no doubt about it. They know. We call on all nations to implement UN Security Council sanctions and resolutions and to cease doing business with the North Korean regime. All nations must come together to ensure that this rogue regime cannot threaten the world with its nuclear weapons. I thank President Xi for his recent efforts to restrict trade with North Korea and to cut off all banking ties. Mr. President, thank you, and thank you to all of the Chinese business leaders here today for standing with the United States and our coalition of responsible nations. But time is quickly running out. We must act fast. And hopefully China will act faster and more effectively on this problem than anyone. I'm also calling on Russia to help rein in this potentially very tragic situation. The contributions of the business community represented here today are vital to our efforts to ensure peace and prosperity for our two nations. Together we can unlock a future of opportunity, wealth, and dignity far beyond anybody's wildest dreams. In your discussions today, I hope you will learn from each other and identify new ways to advance our economic cooperation. I am depending on all of you to work together to find opportunities of mutual agreement and shared prosperity. The hardworking people of America and the hardworking people of China deserve the very best solutions to achieve prosperity, happiness, and peace. Thank you very much. Thank you.
谢谢特朗普总统。下面请大家欢迎习近平主席致辞。
Thank you, President Trump. And now please welcome Mr. Xi Jinping, President of the People's Republic of China.
The Honorable President Trump, Chinese and American business representatives, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. It is my real pleasure to have President Trump with us today for this China-US business exchange. Over the years, the business communities of our two countries have been committed to the friendship between our two nations. You are a strong driving force for economic cooperation and overall relations between our two countries. Your commitments and your contribution are highly appreciated. This year marks the 45th anniversary of the Shanghai Communique. Over the past 45 years, China-US economic relations and trade ties have achieved historic development, delivering great benefits to our two peoples. Last year, the General Motors, Ford, and Fiat Chrysler, the three U.S. automakers, manufactured and sold over 5 million vehicles in China. The number was bigger than their combined sales in other parts of the world. The Chinese investment in the United States is also rising rapidly and has created over 140,000 jobs directly for the local communities in the United States. During President Trump's visit this time, as we have witnessed right now, our companies will sign commercial contracts and two-way investment agreements worth over $250 billion. These are great examples of the vast potential and win-win nature of China-US economic cooperation. The Honorable President Trump, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, you must be interested in the Chinese economy and China-US economic relations. Let me share with you my following thoughts in this regard. First, the Chinese economy enjoys bright prospects. The Chinese economy is now shifting from the stage of high-speed growth to one of high-quality growth. The first 3 quarters of this year have seen our GDP growing by 6.9%. But more important thing is, the structure of the Chinese economy is being upgraded. Going forward, the Chinese economy has the foundation, the right conditions, and the momentum for continued growth.
推大一点声，我听不见。This shows the great confidence in China's economic development momentum.
景是明确的。
And China has a bright future.
只有改革开放才能发展中国。我们将深化供给侧结构性。
We will further deepen the supply side development, and in the market, economy, trade, SOEs, we will focus and strengthen our reforms and release more strategic plans to further develop all these sectors. Keep opening up is our long-term strategies. We will never narrow or close our doors. We will further open, widen, and widen based on the plans made by the 19th National Congress, including the United States enterprises and enterprise from the other countries. We will foster an enabling environment for the business communities in a more fair, transparent manner. And third, there are wider and prosperous future for China and U.S. cooperation. As the largest developed country and developing country, overall imports will be 8 trillion made by China, and the people traveled abroad will be 700 million. There are huge potentials in China-US cooperation. We will further increase our cooperation in trade, especially the LNGs, field oils, and as well as for beef, agriculture products. And we will promote in education, film, and other service contracts. And we'll also hope the U.S. side will keep more on the technology transferring exports. And will encourage Chinese business to do more investment in the United States. Same also would like to invite more U.S. companies to participate in China's One Belt and One Road initiative. With the growth and the highly rapid speed in both bilateral trades, there of course will be some frictions, but on the basis of win-win cooperation and fair competition, and we hope we can solve all these issues in a frank and consultative way. Looking to the future, I believe driving by the business leaders of both countries and the business community in both countries, China's and U.S. economic and trade relations will write more and more great stories and deliver more benefits to the people in both countries. Thank you.
谢谢习主席。现在，我宣布中美企业家对话会到此结束，请大家起立鼓掌，先欢送习主席和特朗普总统离场。
Thank you very much, President Xi Jinping. The U.S.-China business exchange now concludes. Please rise for the departure of the two presidents.
That was the live coverage of the business exchange ceremony witnessed by President Xi Jinping of China and also U.S. President Donald Trump. On the ceremony, a lot of deals and MOUs have been signed among the Chinese and American companies, revealing a very pragmatic aspect of the meeting between the two presidents. Those business deals worth altogether $253.5 billion US, which is unprecedented not only in bilateral trade relations but also in the world indeed. And after that, after the signing ceremony, after the signing of those deals, President Trump and President Xi Jinping respectively gave a short speech on bilateral trade relations. Trump once again thanked for the warm welcome given by President Xi Jinping, and also he said that China and U.S. share common goals and provisions in terms of trade, and he also addressed some problems between the two countries, such as the trade deficit and also the IPR problems, etc. He also said that China and U.S. trade relations is lopsided, but he said China is not to blame. He also addressed progress, of course, such as the business restrictions have been lifted, and China and U.S. He also said the security situation, security cooperation between the two countries are a guarantee of the business relations as well. China and U.S. are at the same plan, according to him, on the global security situation, especially on DPRK, and he also asked Russia to weigh in on that issue, on the security on the Korean Peninsula. And President Xi Jinping appreciated enterprises taking part in this ceremony, and appreciated their efforts on promoting bilateral trade relations, such as GE and Ford. And China investment in the U.S., according to him, is providing numerous jobs, and China is transforming from a quantity to quality economy, which also is providing great opportunities not only for the US but also for the rest of the world to do business with China. Right now, for more insight into the signing of the business deals between China and US and China-US trade relations in general, let's talk again to our studio guests, Rick and John Gong. Well, Rick, China and the United States on Wednesday, before this signing ceremony, signed business deals worth about $9 billion in Beijing, and we witnessed even much more business signings today. What do you make of it?
Well, I think this is a gift for President Trump to take home from President Xi Jinping. It will deepen the relations. It does, to a small degree, help to create new jobs in the United States and to underscore Donald Trump's campaign promises to fight for American jobs. I think that what it also showed is that Donald Trump is focusing on the old economy. If you look at these kinds of jobs, it's manufacturing, it's cars, it's airplanes, coal mines, exactly. And Donald Trump is caught in a world view of the economy that really is not the economy of the future. And while this will help, this will help create jobs, I don't think it will solve the problems of the growing global interconnectedness and the information digital-driven economies.
Mr. John Gong, what do you make of today's signing ceremony? It's a gift to bring back for Donald Trump. How will those agreements benefit China?
It's a feast. It's a Christmas party. I mean, talking about $253 billion today, and plus the $9 billion yesterday. I was doing my calculation on this paper. It's $254 billion in total. And out of this, I mean, you mentioned that these are sort of related with old jobs, but I think one is exception. It's the LNG. This is new. LNG hasn't been happening between China and U.S. Right. U.S. is turning into an export country of oil and gas products, and LNG is going to be very big. I hear LNG again in Group 1, Group 2, Group 3 products. So, signing. So this is I think it's more than just for the traditional economy. I think also contributes to a lot of job creations. President Xi was talking about creating 100,000 new jobs in the U.S. as a result of foreign direct investment of Chinese companies in the U.S. So in terms of the help for China, I think it also helps China in the sense that balancing trade is indeed in China's interest. It's going to be sustainable between the two most important countries in the world for the next 50 years. But regarding the speech itself, I am a little bit disappointed. I mean, he mentioned three things in his speech by President Donald Trump. He talks about this $500 billion trade surplus in the past. Instead of looking forward to the prospect of the future, he talks about the past. $500 billion of trade deficit on the U.S. part, which I totally disagree. He talks about an unlevel economic playing field. He talks as one-sided unfair to China, to the U.S. And I think we discussed about this. There's protections on both sides, in terms of the CFIUS process in the U.S. and the restriction of exports, a control regime in the U.S. Saying that it's one-sided unfair, which is something I totally disagree. He talks about, he also takes a stab at the previous U.S. presidents, which of course I also totally disagree.
Well, would your